Good morning and welcome to all who may be watching this short video presentation on YouTube. Today is Monday, first Monday in the month of September, which is at the same time a federal holiday called Labor Day. And it is morning, still morning, 10 more minutes of the morning, 10, 11:50, 52. Today's theme of this presentation will be Nikola Tesla and his relationship with George Westinghouse, creator of the company, which is present today, 150 years later or so, and one of the largest in the world, basically. And basically, Nikola Tesla came to this country with 28 years of age, with no penny in his pocket except 4 cents in 1884. 6 years before that, Abraham Bell discovered way of making telephone communication over telephone wires, and from 1984 or 5, when Nikola Tesla split from Edison, who was his first employer for first 9 months of his being in America, there was a fight between two brains, Edison and Tesla. And Tesla discovered a number of the inventions and patented them. 40 of them he sold to George Westinghouse, who was himself inventor. He invented air brakes for locomotives and railroads and become very, very rich. And he purchased those 40 patents from Nikola Tesla, one of which was three-phase motors, induction motors, AC motors. And the contract of those 40 patents was stipulated with that Westinghouse will pay $2.50 per each horsepower motor produced, or electricity produced, I don't know. And that was sounding okay when nobody was asking for any money. But later on, for several years, Westinghouse came into cash flow problem because he was expanding very quickly, very fast, and he was not able to have a cash flow to pay his weekly salaries, monthly salaries of employees. And suddenly all bankers were rejecting him to loan him any more money. And one of his friend banker, low-ranking officer, was being, was asked by Edison, by Westinghouse, why? And he hesitated to answer anything. And these guys grabbed him for the shot. What the hell you are hiding from me? Tell me, what's the problem? Why everybody is rejecting? He said, Mr. Westinghouse, you don't know why? Oh, what is the issue? He said, but you have a problem with royalties. What kind of royalties? Well, you have too much money, you own too much money to Nikola Tesla. How much money? Oh, about $8 million at that money, which is equivalent to more than $50 million today, which nobody in the United States had that money at that time. What to do? He said, no, you have to talk to Nikola Tesla. Try to convince him to help you out. And Westinghouse came to Tesla, explained him circumstances, and Tesla, listening to him, says, what will happen if I don't help you? Well, I will simply have to close my business. But Tesla goes furthermore, he says, but if I help you, what will happen with my three-phase motors? And by that time, those was just in the patent form. Nobody was pushing them through the industry. And Westinghouse realized his chance, and he goes, says, Mr. Tesla, I will put everything in my power to put those motors through the industry, even though if I have to shut down my business again. And Tesla goes and asking, can I see your contract? This guy goes, Hop, shows the contract in the Tesla, look at it, goes on the shelf, grab the copy of that one, put it together, and rip it in front of the Westinghouse in pieces. It says, Mr. Westinghouse, you don't owe me anything. This guy almost dropped down on his butt. How much he was surprised. He was not asking nothing. He just wanted to have a sufficient amount of funds to live and to do experiments. That was his life. Experimentation. And he did many, many experiments. He dedicated his life to the humanity. He even never get married and never had a family, just to be free to think and work. Work, work, work. He was workaholic, if you want to say. For giving $50 million for nothing, just to help the guy. And at the end of his life, when he stopped producing and creating, he was in trouble of survival. He was living in the Hotel Astoria of New York City, and basically he was very far of paying the rent. And many times he was being threatened to be evicted, to get kicked out. But before that, he was creating one device, what he used to call black box. A black box was a device which was fitting in the winter coat pocket. And basically, when he was about to do experimentation, he announced his experiment to Chief of Police of City of Washington, of the New York. And he said, don't worry, everything will be under the control. But one morning, in 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, suddenly whole quarter of the city in which his laboratory was being station located start shaking like a crazy, and all residents were running for life out of building, get on the square, on the open space. And the chief of police realized that must be related to Tesla, and he sent 2 policemen to investigate what's happened. And those 2 were reporting later on, coming closer and closer, stronger and stronger shaking of the land ground under their feet, coming to the second story or half a story section with the metal stairways to the laboratory he was having. They were coming and doors were open, and before they get in, they just saw inside a moment when Nikola Tesla was having huge sledgehammer and swinging and hitting against one column, and suddenly everything stopped, quiet, nothing is happening. And he noticed us, and he said, "Oh, gentlemen, I see you came to see my experiment, but I was in unusual situation to turn it off unusual way. But if you would like to see it, you could come this afternoon, half a day after that. I could build other one. Imagine, in half a day, he will be building device which could shake section of the city." And then he was target of the media. That media time, there was not TV cameras or speaker or microphones or anything else or audio recording. It was simple pencil and paper. It was development of society at that time. And they were chasing him to give them interview. And he was resisting and building the steam, interest. And they were pushing and pushing. And suddenly he goes, okay, I will give you an interview, but under very, very strict protocol. I will give you the address and instructions. And anybody breaks any of those elements of instructions, interview will be off. And he gave them the address on one section in a kind of swamp area where new building 5-story metal structure was being built, being in progress. And construction workers were already putting things together and tightening the bolts and everything and welding, I don't know. and he came earlier. It was appointment was exactly 3 p.m. with his shift ending shift of the workers, and he came earlier and he came with that device, tied it for the to the one of the columns of the metal structure, and turn it off, stay on the side and watch. On the other side there was access to that piece of land with a tiny very walkers pedestrian bridge, temporary bridge, and there were a group of hundreds of the reporters waiting and watching their wristwatch time. And 3 o'clock, they were coming, crossing that small bridge. Suddenly, whole structure starts shaking like a crazy, and those workers still on the construction elements were running for life, getting away from that. And the whole ground was shaking, and suddenly he comes and turns it off, and everything is quiet. And then he was explaining to reporters. He said, "This is based on so-called resonant frequency." At that time, electronics was not even in fundamental knowledge, nothing. And that is basically when three resistance goes to minimum. Technically, inductive resistance and capacitive resistance are 180 degrees opposite each other, and when they actually cancel each other because of total opposition, at that time only DC resistance in its existence, and that is creating unbelievable power. And he explained that with a simple demonstration of the kids in the park. He said, you bring your kid in the park playground and you put a kid on the swing, and you have to swing the kid, and in the beginning you have to push quite a bit hard until the kid is in full swing. After that you just stay on the side a little bit and push a little bit and go swing, full swing. Now kick point is in that you just replace same amount of energy power to push that kid to stay in the balance of the same swing back and forth all the time. But now you add a little bit more than previous hit, a little bit more, and that goes into unbelievable destructive power, which could basically destroy everything. And if you give me 1,000 soldiers that I train them to do perfect marching, in 1 hour I will be able to, by their marching, hitting against the ground, will be able to knock down Hudson River Bridge in Hudson River between New York and New Jersey. And that was the power of that device he used to call black box. Never ever anybody repeated that. But there are people in Europe who are claiming that the US Navy already has that knowledge, and they already did experiments with that. And we don't go right now on that at this time into details, but that was Tesla's excuse not to be pushed to pay the rent for the hotel, which he was having very limited amount of money. And then one of the reporters, who was his followers, came to the Westinghouse company, and he was shaming how you could allow that to happen. The guy is barely surviving, and he built you a fortune, giving you $50 million forgiveness because you owed him money and he didn't ask you anything. And then they provided him with some small pension to be able to keep the covering everything in his expenses. And that is the story for today, less than 15 minutes. That will be possible to put it on YouTube. And I thanks to everybody who will be patient listening to me again. Thank you very much and have a nice day.